Here we have Airborne from the G.I. Joe Classified series. We're going to unbox him. I'm going to talk about what I like about him, what I don't like about him, and what, if anything, could possibly have been changed to make him a standout figure. I know a lot of people were slightly disappointed that we didn't get Airborne with the Dragonfly. Back of the box here, we can see the Dragonfly flying in the clouds there. So without further ado, let's get this guy out of his plastic prison and talk about him some more. And here is Airborne out of the packaging. I left all of the small little accessories and bits still on the blister. We're going to take that over the table in a little bit, but I just wanted to get a quick rundown of Airborne here. And immediately the head moves fantastically. We have some good range in the butterfly joints. It is going to be impeded by his full body vest here. And we have pinless elbows, we have pinless knees. We have all of the standard articulation we have come to expect from the G.I. Joe Classified series. And he is bending and posing up really well so far. The knees are quite a bit stiff. This is going to take some effort, but you know what? With a little bit of elbow grease, you can get Airborne moving. His knees are pretty stiff. That might have to be something we warm up before we go over to the table. One thing I wanted to highlight, though, is that when I was moving with the legs here, he does have the drop hip. And what it does is it kind of creates an interesting problem for this harness. This is something that I wanted to get a little closer look at. And when you move his elbows, it does break the illusion of those elbow pads a little bit. But again, this is something that we've kind of just got to get used to. This is an action figure after all. It's not going to look like a real life tiny version of a highly specialized pilot. I'm really liking how well he was sculpted. The details on the outfit, the face sculpt, it all looks really, really good. So I think I'm not going to hang on to him any longer. We'll get him a little closer to the camera. So let's do just that. And here we have Airborne at the table. You can get a really good close-up look at the details on his vest, on his flight suit, all of that stuff. You can see what I mean when I'm talking about a very highly detailed figure, and that he has everything just kind of done to the nines in terms of the gloves, the vest, the frag grenade on his vest, and just a lot of the detailing, the pockets on his pants, stuff like that. So let's get him all situated up with something like this backpack right here. I believe this one was originally for Outback. I think that's the mold for this one, the Tiger Force Outback. We'll see how well this pegs into the back. So how does that fit? Fits okay. It's not a very tight connection, I would say. I think it can definitely fall out, but if he's supposed to be sitting in a airplane or some kind of flight vehicle in the future, I don't think that we'll have this on very often. And oh, that's interesting. As I noticed taking off his backpack, there is some spillage on the elbow pads here. It's really the only place where I see the paint getting kind of strange. I'm looking him over closer now, but no, that seems to be like the only spot where the paint isn't all that well applied. Well, let's take his pistol right here. We can holster this readily. It doesn't look like you can fit a blast effect, but it looks like you can fit one of the suppressors, one of the silencers on it, and it looks like there's a spot for a silencer. What about his other weapon? Oh, okay, so this does remove. Yep. So this is a removable suppressor, and that way he can use it in multiple weapons, and then this part does have the blast effect. And since we have his machine gun out, let's put it in his hand, see how that works. Works really well. And yeah, I mean, that looks like a machine gun. Does the magazine remove? The magazine does remove. I like that feature. I don't know why I like that feature, but it's just kind of cool. It's like tiny little parts that will get lost maybe at some point. But the fact that they thought about it and have like a removable piece so that you could do like a reload scene or something like that was rather, like, it's just cool. It's like something that's been throughout the G.I. Joe Classified series, and I like it. We have his knife. We can sheath that way. So if he needs quick access to it, he could grab and have a knife ready. Woo. All right. So now we get to his helmet. And the helmet comes in a few parts. So here we have the helmet, and there is this night vision aspect to it. I believe this is like Wolf Spider's helmet. This piece right here, I don't know how well this is going to connect. This is just something I'm not grooving with right now. I think part of the issue here is that the helmet is soft, and then this part is even softer than that. So the connection here is rather weak. It looks, oh gosh, you can see I'm just struggling with that. We'll just leave that off for now. He does have 2 goggles, well, 1 goggles and then 1 dust cover for his goggles. And it is inset just enough so that it does match over that. And you wouldn't get dust on them, and then it also wouldn't glint in the sun and give away your location. We already know we have some issues with the helmet. Let's just try fitting it on his natural head. It does fit rather loosely, and the way that this chin strap hits his vest kind of causes some issues of how well it sits. I'm guessing if we put the goggles on, and then we put the helmet on, we're going to have a much better connection. That seems to be how all of these G.I. Joe classified figures work, is that the helmet needs to have some extra width so that it properly seats and it doesn't flop around. Yeah, that's a much stronger, much more secure connection than if I did this. And, oh, that's backwards. That's going to have a bad time with that. Then this is just kind of too wobbly. We have some night vision goggles that don't really socket on. Maybe we can try it this way. Let's put it, since this forehead is going to provide some backing so it doesn't, there we go. Okay. Oh, you know what, that looks better. So once you can get it on his forehead, you get a sense of the night vision goggles working. Let's get him into a configuration that I like. And from there, I think we'll talk about what I like about him, what I don't like about him, some final thoughts. All right, let's get to it. Here are some of the things I really like about Airborne. It's the fact that they've captured the essence of Airborne. So here you can see the classified version on this side, and then here we will have the A Real American Hero version on that side. You can see just, there is a similarity. You can definitely tell this is Airborne, but they have upgraded him. I guess the word now is classified him. They've classified him and made him a more modern military figure. The details for Airborne all come together, for the most part. It's the sculpting, it's the accessory kit, it's the fact that I can take the suppressor from his machine gun, put it on his pistol. It's all of those little details. And of course, we have the traditional reuse of parts. I believe this is Outback's backpack. While that might sound bad, it carries on the tradition of G.I. Joes for a very long time. Parts were just reused, they were recolored, they were put on different kit-bashed versions to make brand new Joes. It's just kind of how it's always been, and a nice nod to the past. What I'm not necessarily thrilled about is the helmet and goggles options. They're just a little finicky, and they're very limited in their use. Here I have this night vision goggle thing on, and the port for that is a little dubious. I'll just say that. I don't know how well this is going to stick in over time. But where it comes together is when you put the goggles on, then the helmet on top. That is a really good look for the figure. And unless you have the goggles on, the helmet just doesn't really sit right on him. It's very finicky, but again, that's just a common problem we've known throughout G.I. Joe Classified. It's a difficult problem, right? If we want to have characters with goggles, then you need to have a helmet that accommodates it, but if you don't want to put the goggles on, then what do you do other than put 2 different sets of helmets and goggles? It gets to be confusing. I think the solution that they've worked out works. My overall impressions of this is it's a really great figure, and while he does lean into your traditional green army man style G.I. Joe, there's enough visual interest, there's enough visual differentiation from some of the other drab greens that we've seen recently that makes Airborne stand out. This is a character whose specialty is flying, and we don't have a flying vehicle for the G.I. Joes yet. We're still waiting on the Dragonfly as I'm posting this video, which is okay because I still have to open up my his tank. Well, since you've gotten to this point in the video, I think it's only natural that you hit that follow button because, well, you must have liked it so far. And if you're somebody who's a returning visitor, it would be so great if you would consider becoming a channel member. Starting at 99 cents a month, you can get some behind the scenes access and early access to some videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.